Hello, today we're going to be looking at quadratic functions and equations. What I'd like you to do, just to kind of jog your memories, I'd like you to go ahead and match the following. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. So hopefully you remember from Algebra 1 that the parent function would be C. Vertex form, we've been using that lately, so that would be A. And standard form would be B. And then I ask that you identify key features from the following equation. We've got y is equal to 3 multiplied by x minus 4 squared plus 7. And so take a few seconds and see if you can identify all the pieces. If not, identify as many as you can. Alright, hopefully you saw that the y-intercept was 7, the slope was 3, the vertex is 4, 7. The axis of symmetry is always the x of the vertex, so that would be 4. Is the quadratic skinny or wide? Well, it's skinny because the number here, which we're calling the slope, is greater than 1. And is the quadratic facing up or down? It's facing up because positive people, of course, are always smart. So let's go ahead and take a look at J15. I know that some of you have already tackled it, and I just want to make sure that if you have not, you have some resource to look at. So we've got a parabola opening up or down. It has a vertex of 0, 0 and passes through 8, negative 16. Write the equation of vertex form. So we're using this form here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write the vertex within the equation first, and then I'll go back and write the points. And that's just because that's how my brain works. Some of you can just fill in the entire thing and you're good. Not me. So just bear with me. So I've got A, and I've got x minus 0 squared plus 0. So I've written my vertex, which is H and K. Now I'm going to go back and put in my point, which is negative 16 is equal to A, x is 8, minus 0 squared plus 0. So we've got negative 16 is equal to A times 8 squared plus 0, Negative 16 is equal to, well, 8 squared is 64, and multiplied by A is 64A. We're just going to divide by 64 on both sides of the equation. That leaves me with A, and I'm going to reduce this fraction or simplify it. I know that 16 goes into 64 4 times, so A would be negative 1/4. And then I just rewrite the equation. It's negative 1/4 as the A, and then I've got x minus 0 squared plus 0, because we were told to write it in vertex form. So this would be the answer for this question. Let's go on and move to the next one. We've got y is equal to our vertex form, and we have this parabola, which is opening up or down, has a vertex of negative 7, 0 and passes through negative 8, 1/8. Write its equation in vertex form. So again, because of how my brain works, I'm just going to go ahead and do each piece separately. So I've got y equals A times x, and this is minus 7, so I know in vertex form it's actually the opposite, so that's plus 7 plus 0. Then I've got 1/8 as my y, and the point equals A, and then for x I'm going to put in negative 8 plus 7 plus 0. So, and if you notice, I forgot to write the squared. So I've got 1/8 equals A times negative 1 squared plus 0. 1/8 is equal to 1A divided by 1. Divided by 1. A is equal to 1/8. So our equation would be y is equal to 1/8 x plus 7 squared, and you don't have to write the plus 0. You can if you like. All right, let's go on to the next question. A parabola opening up or down has a vertex of -5, -2, and passes through -14, 73/4. Write the equation in vertex form. So we've got y is equal to a, and I know this is x plus 5 squared minus 2. And then I'm going to fill in my y point as 73/4 is equal to a. And then my x is -14 plus 5 squared minus 2. And so I've got 73/4 equals, well, -14 plus 5 is -9. And we're going to square that, minus 2. 73/4 is equal to, well, -9 squared is 81. So that would be 81a minus 2. We're going to add 2 to both sides of the equation. Now, right here is where you have to be really careful, because you have to remember that when you're adding fractions, they have to have the same denominator. And right now, we've got 73/4 and 2 over 1, so that's not going to quite work. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and create an equivalent fraction so that I can add them. So I know my denominator has to be 4. So in order to get my denominator to be 4, I'm going to multiply by 4 over 4. And that gives me, so this is 2 over 1, that gives me 8 over 4. So now I can go ahead and add 8 over 4. And that gives me 81/4 is equal to 81 times a. Now, here's the other part. When you are dividing by a number and you've got a fraction over here, remember this 81 could be written as 81 over 1. But we really don't divide fractions like that. We multiply by the reciprocal. So basically what happens is I end up going, I do 1 over 81 multiplied by 81 over 4. So again, when we are dealing with fractions, even though you are dividing the number in front of your variable, keep in mind that when you apply it to the other side, you apply it as the reciprocal. So 81 over 1, the reciprocal of that is 1 over 81. So I have got 81 over 81 times 4. Now that's going to be a really big number, so let me just show you a little trick. Hopefully you learned this in middle school. When you have something like this, if you look across, like if I look at 1 and I look at 4, I would think, well, what factors do they have in common? Well, the highest factor they have in common is 1, so that's not going to help me. But if I look across this way, I can tell that 81 goes into 81. So I'm going to do something called cross cancellation. It just makes multiplying fractions a little bit easier. And basically what I'm doing is I'm simplifying before I multiply my fractions as opposed to doing it the other way around. So 81 goes into 81 one time. So then I do 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 4 is 4. So therefore, A, and I ran out of room, is equal to 1/4. So the equation for this one, please forgive me, I am going to write it up here, is y is equal to 1/4 x plus 5 squared minus 2. All right, go ahead and do your turn. I'll be right back. All right, so on your turn, you have the answers there. I forgot to box this one in. If you need help, let me know. Talk to you later.